rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. You know, one thing about being in the current events business and news is that you have to be willing to accept that all of your preparation, everything that you prepared for, all of the stuff that you're planning on talking about gets thrown out the window by a last-minute announcement. Yeah. Well, for those that may not have heard, apparently with less than 2 hours to go, Pakistan approached the U.S. and said, hey, we've got a ceasefire deal for you. I don't think they sang it, but but anyway, yes, they put together a ceasefire deal, and it looks like Trump has accepted it, as well as Iran. Apparently, both have accepted the deal. So we believe, maybe, possibly, I don't know, that there will be a 2-week pause in aggressions. Now, you'll recall that Iran did not want to have a ceasefire at all. They were looking for a scenario where there would be no ceasefire, so that there was only going to be a cessation of military operations. So, brand new, don't hold your breath. I wouldn't hold mine, but brand new for this entire situation. So, we'll see what happens here. My guess is, though, is that some of the day's events that went on sort of enticed Iran to maybe come up with it. Now, there are some questions as to whether or not Israel is in on the ceasefire. My understanding is that, yes, Israel is agreeing to the ceasefire. And even though there are a few, reportedly, there's a couple of missiles and things like that that got launched after the hard set. Obviously, I don't think anybody has really, the news of this may not have been filtered in Iran quite as quickly as it would here in the West. So, we'll have to kind of see what happens. But of course, this just means that, Trump obviously had to call back our bombers or whatever it was. But I got more on what was happening during the day here in just a few minutes. But first, let's go ahead and get things kicked off. Tonight is Judge Wild. Judge Wild is over in the green room, getting everything all set up. He's going, me, getting himself all set up and ready to go. So if you are of mine, please stand, remove your hat if you're wearing one, like me. Place your hand over your heart and follow along with Judge Wild as he recites the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh yeah, hurrah!
All right, and I thank you, Judge Wild, for that wonderful rendition of the pledge. If you would like to hear your rendition of the pledge played here on the program, all you need to do is record yourself reciting or performing the pledge in your style. Take that audio file, video file, whatever kind of file, and attach it to an email, and then address that email to me. Send it to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans FANS at AmericanPerspective.online. And I will get you into the rotation. I've got 23 of these things. I need 26. I'd like to have 26 by the end of 2026. So I need 3 more. And to finish out the year and reach that goal. If you use your phone, you can utilize the share option. That's the SHARE option, share option. And you'll be able to send that off to me as well at FANS, FANS at AmericanPerspective.online. And I will get you into the rotation as soon as possible. All right, tonight's headline sponsor, it looks like they're doing something with their website because a bunch of their little links and stuff are disappeared, which kind of stinks. Because I like their website, but it's got some weird stuff going on. I don't know what's happening. But anyway, it is The American View. In other words, the Institute on the Constitution. The Institute on the Constitution at theamericanview.com. That's theamericanview.com. And if you look up in the upper left-hand corner, you'll see it comes down. It's got some very strange, they're updating. As you can see, it's not reacting normal here. They must be doing some kind of update or something to it because this is not the way that it normally works. But anyway, doesn't distract necessarily from their mission, which of course is to restore the constitutional republic through grassroots education from a biblical worldview. This actually might even be, even now that I think about it, this might even be like a browser issue, like a browser version issue. Anyway, I digress. So that 3-part process, 3 action steps that they request that you take in order to help them in their mission to restore the constitutional republic. The first one, of course, is to pray. That's right. The first one is to pray, and of course you can pray. Never forget to pray for our country or the people within it or anything else, the military, so on and so forth, our president, all kinds of things to pray for. And then the second thing is to go and study. Well, what do you study? You study the U.S. Constitution in particular. That's where you start. That's where you start right here. Is right above my head, right there. The U.S. Constitution. All you need, U.S. Constitution course. It's 100% free, online. It's nationally recognized. All you need to do is put in your name, first and last, and your email address, and then you'll get, and click that Get Lesson 1 free. Trust me, it's all free. The whole thing's free. But you get that lesson sent directly to your email box. Right to your email box automatically every week, 12 lessons, each one 15 to about 20 minutes long, very quickly, very well done. And you'll be able to learn about our beautiful, fantastic country that we call home. And then once you've done that course, you can go and take one of their in-person courses. Yes, they have in-person courses. You can go and register for them. For an example, they have, this Thursday, 2 more days, a GHC convention at the Duke Energy Convention Center. And then you can register for the Truth of America's Founding in Lewes, Delaware, at the New Covenant Church. That one's 4 days away. That's this Saturday, April 11th. They have the U.S. Constitution course itself in Kettering, Ohio, at the Kettering Assembly of God. That one's 9 days away. And then they also have the Truth of America's Founding in Ridgely, Maryland, 12 days away. So, and there's a bunch more. There's plenty more. And you can go and check all of those out in the study page. But what you can also help them out with is you can help them once you go through all of their courses, take a class, so on and so forth. You can become a member. This is the third part. This is the act, but even more, you may even want to become an instructor. And that's probably your best bet, is to become an instructor, to be able to take your newfound knowledge and spread it around. That's the whole point. That's part of the mission. Grassroots education right there. And you can go and check out on the ACT page and becoming an instructor page. You can find out how to become an instructor by watching this one video right here, how to become an IOTC instructor. They also have 5 tips for a successful class as well. And you can grab their instructor kit, which is right here. And you go up to the shop. That's the nice little red button over in the upper right-hand corner. You go and click on shop, and you get taken to their shop page where you can pick up their educational resources, apparel, the instructor materials, the U.S. Constitution course, all kinds of stuff. But my personal favorite's right above my head here. Right over here is called the Legacy Library. You click on that Legacy Library, and they got a bunch of leather stuff. I like leather. But you got the leather stuff. One of them being this item that is in my hot little hands. It's called the U.S. Constitution. Yes. Saddleback, leather-bound U.S. Constitution copy right here. A nice pocket-sized book. It also has, according to my Rumble Warriors, sexy rounded corners. If you take a look at this thing, it's got 1/8 of an inch of Saddleback leather wrapped around pages that are water and tear resistant. No cheap glue here, folks. There is the stitching that goes all the way through the leather and the pages contained within. These, according to 3 Chevy, each one of these books comes with stitching strong enough to tie up an Ayatollah. And, of course, my Whiskey Warrior G says that the Institute on the Constitution links are being redone. He goes, sounds to me like they may be performing a restitching. Anyway, head on over to theamericanview.com, go to their shop, then the Legacy Library, and pick one of these up today. It's got a 100-year warranty against materials and manufacturing defects, such that if you have a problem, you can send this back to the manufacturer and they will either fix it or replace it for free. Who else gives you a 100-year warranty? I mean, seriously, who else? There's nobody else. That means they know about this product. This thing is well made. It is Buddy tested, Buddy approved, Billy tasted, Billy approved. And my youngest Whiskey Warrior has confirmed that the information contained within will help you to achieve your civics badge in Scouts, as well as your civics exam. That's right, if they still have them. And your naturalization test. It's got all the information that you would need on the Constitution right here in this hot little book. Go to theamericanview.com. Go to the shop, Legacy Library, and pick that up. That's right, theamericanview.com, which is the home on the web for the Institute on the Constitution, and I thank them for being a sponsor of the show. All right. Now, 3 Chevy says, I wish I had a 100-year warranty. Yeah, so do I, 3 Chevy. Trust me, so do I. Okay. Well, throughout the day, today, we've been waiting, wondering. It was going to be an Eastern time, 8 p.m., clock striking 0, that countdown clock. Well, apparently 2 hours, roughly 2 hours ahead of that, they announced, or Pakistan said, hey, don't do anything. We've got it taken care of. But throughout the day, the U.S. and Israel were carrying out some strikes because apparently the U.S. hit a couple of places on Karg Island. Now, keep in mind, this wasn't destroying their offloading, their oil offloading facilities or anything else. They basically conducted strikes on some military targets on Karg Island. Bunkers, radar stations, ammunition storage. Chances are that was in preparation potentially for tonight's attacks. But, the attacks that, of course, are now staved off. So that's fine. I mean, whatever. Anyway, Israel also apparently made some strikes, too. Let's see. I've got so many things opened up here that I'm not even sure yet. Here we go. Israel also had planes striking Iran bridges and railways as well, according to Benjamin Netanyahu today. He was talking about them carrying out strikes on Iran's infrastructure. Now, I just want to point this out. The left, the Democrats, okay, the Democrats, they were all sitting there all up in arms talking about Trump's Easter message where he basically dropped the F-bomb and said, hey, Iran, we are potentially going to take out your electrical grid, your electrical facilities and bridges and all kinds of stuff. Well, what ended up happening is the left went nuts over this. I mean, other than just the standard complaints about, hey, this is not presidential. We need somebody who is more like Obama. No, we don't. More diplomatic, that kind of thing. No, we don't. But what ended up happening is they also called out Trump's comments about attacking the infrastructure. And they immediately tied that to war crimes. Folks, they're gearing up. They're attempting to gear up and come up with reasons to impeach President Trump. Now, just making threats like that, like I said last night, just making threats is not a war crime. And even hitting those things is not a war crime either. Because of the fact that it depends. Now, they're, of course, pointing to international law, which is a misnomer, because there is no international law. And even if there were, it wouldn't matter anyway, because the United States Constitution doesn't recognize anything but the United States Constitution. So we're not subject to international law. We never have been, ever since we started as a country. But that being said, the Democrats, of course, are priming themselves for taking over the House and possibly the Senate in November. And they want to impeach the president. Well, I actually think that Netanyahu said, hey, if that's what the left is going to sit here, the left in your country is going to sit here and do, I'm going to protect President Trump. I'm going to go ahead and hit the bridges and railways and all of the infrastructure ahead so that Trump doesn't have to do it. That way Trump doesn't get impeached for quote unquote war crimes that aren't war crimes, because the Democrats, are just howling and wailing and gnashing their teeth. That's just the way they do. Yeah. Anyway, well, Iran earlier today cut off direct communication with the United States. They also put a bunch of Iranians on a bridge in the area. So, they were urging their people. They put out a message to everybody and said, hey, people, get your butts out onto those bridges. Get your butts out onto the power plants, get themselves. Now, I got to ask a question. And I mean, this is more rhetorical than anything else because I already know the answer to this. But how despicable is it? How despicable is it that a regime puts their civilians in harm's way in a conflict? I mean, this is exactly what, like, Hamas does, and the Houthis, and Hezbollah. Yeah. And they're putting, basically civilians, and I'm not talking civilian men, I'm talking like civilian women and children, especially the children. They were saying, hey, they were sending out, 12-year-olds, things like that. I mean, we kind of saw some of this. America has in our past, in Vietnam, for an example. My stepfather, may he rest in peace, told me of stories of Vietnamese kids coming into military compounds and essentially having bombs in baskets where they would have goodies and treats and things like that they would come in, lure all of the American soldiers over to try and sell them goods, baked goods, alcohol, whatever. And then the bomb would go off, obviously, and the kid themselves would get killed. I mean, it's no different than like suicide bombers. That's guerrilla warfare. But we've already seen all of this. Anyway, so, yeah. So, this is basically where the Iranian regime is at. The Iranian regime basically is, getting to the point where they're desperate. I mean, that's what I'm reading into this, is that they're desperate. And they're trying to make sure that they, that their people, which their people don't like, but their people, the regime doesn't really care about their people. So they're just using them as human shields. Anyway. Well, Iran's Revolutionary Guard, of course, today said that, hey, if this deadline is met and you guys start pounding the crap out of us, yeah, we're going to try and block the U.S. and its allies from obtaining oil and gas from the Middle East for years. Now, that threat is honestly comes off very flat. And the reason why it comes off very flat is because of the plain and simple fact that Oman, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Kuwait, Qatar, they're all, of course, on our side at this point. So, yeah, it's, you can't get anything from Iran. Well, we've already, embargoed your oil from us anyway. We were trying to keep anyone from buying your oil. And obviously China and Russia didn't care. But yeah, so this is like another one of their empty threats, another one of their empty promises and stuff like that. So, yeah. Anyway, there was a statement by the Revolutionary Guard carried by the state-run media, which, how much of that do you actually believe? And, according to a translation, it said, "We will work with the infrastructure of the United States and its partners to deprive the United States and its allies of oil and gas in the region for years." That was their threat. It also issued a new threat to the nearby Middle Eastern states that do business with the United States. And that threat was America's regional partners should also know that until today, we have exercised great restraint for the sake of good neighborliness and have had some reservations in choosing targets for retaliation, but all these reservations have since been removed. And now they've agreed to this ceasefire, of course. So, anyway, yeah, we'll see what happens. Well, reports have come out, by the way. Reports have come out that there's an entire possibility that the new Supreme Commander or Supreme Ayatollah leader, whatever his name is, Mujtaba Khamenei, I'll just go with Khamenei, is actually unconscious in a coma and is unable to be involved in any decision making, according to an intelligence memo. Now, this is, of course, coming out now weeks after he was reportedly severely injured in the U.S.-Israeli strikes that killed his father and started this whole conflict. Well, this guy has not been seen since he was injured during the initial February 28th strikes that killed his father. And so now it's only been written statements that have been given as quote unquote questionable proof of leadership. And in fact, they even released a video. I don't have it, but they released a video. And that video was created by AI of the supreme leader walking into a room and reportedly looking at some sort of a grid of like the Israeli, one of the Israeli nuclear facilities. So that video, a short video, but that was supposedly proof that he is actually alive and everything, but it's obvious. And they did such a bad job. It's an obvious AI, which is interesting. According to the Times of London, which they obtained an assessment of his condition, says that he was, meaning Khamenei, was currently undergoing medical treatment for a severe condition in the holy city of Qom. That's QOM, roughly 87 miles south of Tehran. And this is the memo, which was based on both U.S. and Israeli intelligence. Anyway, we'll see what happens. We'll actually see what happens for this. So anyway. Yeah. Here is a map. Like I said, sorry, I know I sound a little discombobulated, but the reason for it is because of the fact that, you know, again, everything that I had planned was just like thrown out the window with this announcement. But here is a map of the supposed strikes that occurred today. Oh, goodness, that was way off. Hang on just a second. Let me see if I can get this centered better. There we go. That's a little bit better. Here's a map of the strikes that occurred today ahead of the 8 p.m. Eastern deadline. So you can see all of the different strikes that were on Iran, and then of course several retaliatory strikes. So the strikes on Iran are in red, the retaliatory strikes are in green. Yeah, there's some other indicators here, but you can see sort of where a lot of these things are happening. So there's missile strikes, reported missile strikes. These are all of the strikes going up to the today's deadline. Now, the U.S. reportedly has struck more than 11,000 targets in the last 30 days. So yeah, and we'll see what happens. That seems to be what's going on. Now, one of the conditions I've been told, or I've read, is that one of the conditions to the ceasefire is that the Strait of Hormuz opens immediately. So we'll have to see what happens. I'll go through some of the rest of what is being talked about in terms of social media in just a quick moment. But first, But first, I want to tell you about Rumble Wallet. Now, one of the things about being a part of the banking community and everything else is that they can freeze your accounts. They can shut off your credit cards. They can lock you out of your own money overnight. We saw some of this happening to people under the Biden administration. Okay, banks won't protect you. They control you. Well, if you want real financial freedom, it starts with ownership. And to own your money, you should check out the Rumble Wallet. Introducing the Rumble Wallet, a non-custodial wallet built for people who refuse to give up control. With Rumble Wallet, you don't just buy digital currency like Bitcoin and Tether. You can own Tether Gold, real gold, and it's on the blockchain. Through Tether Gold, you get direct ownership of physical gold bars, each one fully allocated, verifiable by serial number, purity, and weight. This isn't paper gold. This isn't an IOU. This is real gold without bank vaults, storage fees, or gatekeepers. You can buy, sell, or move it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even when the traditional gold markets are closed. And if you want, Tether Gold can be redeemed for physical gold. That's power. And when you support creators on Rumble, you can actually tip them directly using Rumble Wallet, peer-to-peer, and outside not only the banking system, but also the platform, so the platform doesn't suck away any fees. There's no permissions, no middlemen, no cancel button. That wallet is yours forever. Go to wallet, wallet.rumble.com. That's wallet.rumble.com to get more information about it and to find some links to download the Rumble Wallet. You can also download Rumble Wallet from the App Store, both of them. Go to wallet.rumble.com to get some more information about this digital bank that you own. This digital place that you own. It is completely in your possession and in your reach. Go to wallet.rumble.com. That's wallet.rumble.com to check it out. And don't forget, you can also tip your your Rumble creators directly from the Rumble Wallet. Your favorite creators. You can just click on a link and boop, it goes right to your favorite creators. Go to wallet.rumble.com for more information or click on the QR code here on the screen. Right over there, right there. You can click on that for more information. And there you go. So wallet.rumble.com. So one of my Whiskey Warrior P1 says that she has a Rush tie. I'm jealous. Man, Rush. I miss Rush. You mentioned Rush, man. Look at me. I'm off the tracks. I'm off the tracks. Let's see. Which one is that? One is the... Yeah. See? I'm off the tracks. It's been so long since we've done the train. I forgot where it was. Anyway, I'm off the tracks. You mentioned Rush, man. Whew. Boy, we could really use him right now. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yes. Back to the ceasefire deal. So President Trump obviously posted on True Social. This was where the announcement came out. And he says, quote, based on conversations with Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and Field Marshal Asim Munir of Pakistan, and wherein they requested that I hold off the destructive force being sent tonight to Iran and subject to the Islamic Republic of Iran agreeing to the complete, immediate, and safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz, I agree to suspend the bombing and attack of Iran for a period of 2 weeks. This will be a double-sided ceasefire. Now, that announcement, of course, popped out and said that, that was about an hour and a half ahead of his 8 p.m. Eastern Time deadline, and Pakistanis requested that he halt the attack. The president added that Iran's 10-point peace plan proposal is a workable basis to negotiate and to continue negotiations. He says this will be a double-sided ceasefire. Reason for doing so is that we have already met and exceeded all military objectives and are very far along with a definitive agreement concerning long-term peace with Iran and peace in the Middle East. Now, almost all of the various points of previous proposals have been agreed to, and the 2-week ceasefire will allow an agreement to be finalized, Trump said. He also points out, on behalf of the United States of America as president, and also representing the countries of the Middle East, it is an honor to have this long-term problem close to resolution. So there you go. That is what Trump announced. Now, as part of this ceasefire, there's quite a few announcements came out. So, I'm trying to find some of the details here, but yeah. Now, of course, he's saying that 2-week ceasefire, of course, is the idea to get the final plan, finalized. So we'll see what happens. Tomorrow is going to be interesting to watch the oil market, because I got to tell you, if the oil is like, up and down as what it has been throughout this whole thing, with Epic Fury, it's going to be interesting to see what is going to come about with the price of oil now that we have this ceasefire potentially in place. And so we'll have to go with that. Now, as I said early on in the program, we were talking about, oil futures. There we go. My unofficial producer, of course, just posted and said oil futures have already dropped. So now let's hope the price at the pump drops just as fast. Anyway. So, so anyway, as I was talking about earlier, we were talking about the Democrats kept talking about, we're going to impeach you. We're going to impeach him. And they also called for his 25th Amendment. They also called for his ouster. But there's at least one Democrat who has essentially said, this isn't really realistic. All it is again, political theater. That's all you see from the Democrats, really, is political theater. And that's pretty much exactly what is going on. And the reason why they say that is because they're calling for him to be ousted by the 25th Amendment. But people who don't study the Constitution don't seem to understand this would require the vice president, who, by the way, the vice president agreed with Trump on the 8 p.m. deadline earlier today. But it would require the vice president and a majority of Trump's own cabinet to agree. And honestly, that bar has never been actually matched in United States history at all, regardless of what some of the movies have shown, like Air Force One. It's never been reached. And so even though dozens of congressional Democrats are demanding that Republicans remove Donald Trump for these latest threats against Iran, one lawmaker basically says that, the idea isn't really realistic. Sheldon Whitehouse. I never would have thought that this guy would actually say this, but he apparently doesn't believe that the moment to trigger the 25th Amendment is now. White House posted on X, goes, I'm getting a lot of traffic about the 25th Amendment after Trump's mad rants, which they aren't mad rants. But anyway, he says, the president is facing serious mental decline. I'm with you on that. Really? Yet Biden was perfectly fine to you? Anyway, he goes, but unfortunately invoking the 25th is not realistic right now, given his oddball cabinet of sycophants and eccentrics. And Republicans' spines of foam, he continued. Well, I guess the clock is right. The broken clock is right twice a day, because I kind of agree with him about the Republican spines of foam part. Anyway, he continues and says, we're going to have to buckle down and win this the old-fashioned way. Oh, so in other words, making up crap and impeaching him on Anyway. Yeah, what a mess. What a mess. All right, well, enough about Iran and Trump and stuff like that. Let's move on to the first step. First thing that we've heard from DHS Secretary Markwayne Mullin. Markwayne Mullin announced something today. And by announcing, it's basically just a new proposal. So one of the biggest problems that we've been having in terms of our immigration issues is the idea of sanctuary cities, sanctuary states, sanctuary counties, places where illegal aliens can go and basically be allowed to, hey, even if we, break a law or two, we're going to be let go. And that's how they live in places like Illinois, Chicago, Seattle, Washington, California, pretty much just about any place, all of that. Well, Markwayne Mullin came up with what I consider to be sort of a novel idea. And this one I could actually get behind. Now, he unveiled a new proposal yesterday. And he goes, all of these people who are, arriving at international airports in sanctuary cities, well, rather than suspending their funding or taking away their federal funding or anything else that just ends up in our court system, why don't we just take away Customs and Border Patrol at these international airports? And that'll basically end all international travel to and from the location. Because you have to pass through Customs and Border Patrol. You have to pass through customs when you come in from an international travel. Well, this is a novel idea. And honestly, I can't even find, I'm sitting here trying to figure out if this could even be challenged in court constitutionally. I just, I don't understand. I don't know. I haven't been able to find anything yet that would basically say that, hey, it's illegal to not have Customs and Border Protection at an airport. It's supposed to be a ports of entry. But the thing about it is, the Department of Homeland Security, the immigration organization, is the one that sets up the ports of entry. So I think this is a fantastic idea, to be honest with you, because any international arrivals that are coming in, well, they're not going to be able to clear customs there. So they essentially, you would literally cut off, by doing that, you would literally cut off any international travel. And believe me, there is a lot of international travel. Oh, yes. There's a lot of international travel in places like San Francisco, Los Angeles, Seattle, Washington. Those are three right off the top of my head. San Diego, I'm sure, has some too. Yeah. That would be horrible. Not to mention the airlines. Just think of how much the airlines screamed when TSA was doing it. 3 Chevy points this out, that the airlines would scream because they will lose money from all of those routes. Yeah, they absolutely would. But hey, you know, according to the Democrats, pain is part of the process, right? I think this is a fantastic idea, personally. I mean, just think of all of the now, Seattle, Washington may not lose that much because I'll be honest with you, on our northern border up here, on our northern border, we have Vancouver, BC, Canada, which is a popular international destination. And then, of course, they would just come through the U.S. Ports of entry in the state of Washington in order to come down to Seattle. But it would certainly add a little bit to their trip because they would have to fly into Vancouver and then, of course, drive a bus or something down this way. But anyway, it's an interesting proposal. That is an interesting proposal. So Mullins asked Fox News on Bret Baier, and so this is on Bret Baier's thing. He asked kind of the question. Let's go ahead and take a listen to him right now.
To keep your state as safe as my state.
But,
and
Mr.
so let us
Secretary,
work
you know
together.
the issue here is that you have states and cities that are sanctuary states
Right.
and cities. And that's part of the issue. It's part of the problem. We saw it in Minnesota. How do you get around that?
Well, I believe sanctuary cities is not lawful. I don't think they're able to do that. And so we're going to take a hard look at this. Just one area we may take a hard look at is some of these cities have international airports. If they're a sanctuary city, should they really be processing customs into their city? I mean, seriously, if they're a sanctuary city and they're receiving international flights, and we're asking them to partner with us at the airport, but once they walk out of the airport, they're not going to enforce immigration policy, maybe we need to have a really hard look at that because we need to focus on cities that want to work with us.
So you're saying that big cities that are sanctuary cities that have a big airport, they might lose their customs?
Well, I'm saying we're going to have to start prioritizing things at some point. Right now, remember, the Democrats are wanting to defund Customs and Border Patrol. Well, who processes those individuals when they walk off the plane? And so I'm going to have to be forced to make hard decisions. Who's willing to work with us and partner with us? Once again, I'm not going outside the policies that Congress passed for me, and we're not trying to push those, but we're saying you got to partner with us.
Some of the criticism is that
like I said, it's a novel idea, and I can't think of any legal reason that the Democrats could actually sue because, again, the immigration law states that immigration and naturalization, in other words, the DHS, ICE, and CBP, are in charge of where they set up these ports of entry. Interesting. That is interesting. Oh, yeah, you could also lose New York, too. I just hit the West Coast. I mean, the East Coast, you have a whole bunch of them over there as well. Wow. That would be quite interesting. So, there you go. All right. Well, let's continue with another video. Scott Jennings, and yeah, Scott Jennings, by the way, he delivers another Scott Jennings truth bomb. Yeah, I love Scott Jennings. I love his truth bombs, but here, let's go ahead and take a listen because apparently they were on CNN, had a Democrat from Maryland. He was a representative who, well, you know, you can't get away with lying with Scott Jennings on the panel. Take a listen.
He's already made everybody mad about taking away health care and food supports and raising taxes on hardworking lower-income families and working families and giving that money to the ultra-wealthy. But now he's doing...
What taxes did he raise?
Now he's doing it also...
What are you talking about?
Look at the gas prices. Look at the Amazon...
I know you voted against the tax cuts last summer. I know you're familiar with tax increases.
I would say take a look at the totality of what was presented. We could have passed a lot of those tax cuts, like the Senate did, unanimous consent on no taxes on tips, Scott. So the president has people mad about what they're paying at the pump, what they're paying in health care, if they still have it, what they're paying at the grocery store.
Now, for those of you who are on the audio portion of the program and not able to see the video, you should just look at Scott's look of literal incredulity. I can't pronounce that word. But he's just like, wait, what? What are you saying? Oh, see, these Democrats, Democrat representatives, they want you to believe that they're the ones that are doing this. They're the ones that have taken care of it. No. And, well, this is part of the reason why Democrats, the Democrats, they are in their own little bubble. That's right. Well, they always have been. But they're in their own little bubble. And CNN's Harry Enton is like, yeah, you guys aren't really all that great.
No, not at all, at least when it comes to you isolate Democrats. I mean, these numbers are just atrociously awful. A double A for the Democrats here. I mean, just take a look here. Congressional Dems have the right priorities. Look at this. Overall, 74%, nearly 3 in 4 say no. Just 25% overall say yes. You might say, okay, well, at least Dems like Democrats. Not the case. Look at this. The majority of Democrats are independents who lean Democrats. Look at this. 55% say no, congressional Democrats do not have the right priorities. And then you just see a minority, 45% of Democrats say that congressional Democrats have the right priorities. This, to me, just jumps out at the screen because it screams primary challenges all over the map. And it says that even if Democrats don't like Donald Trump, they don't like their own party either when it comes to Congress. And overall, I mean, my goodness gracious. So this is
yeah. So even Democrats don't like Democrats. Yeah, even Democrats don't like Democrats. So there you go. All right. So just really quickly in the Rumble chat, guys, your comments are being deleted because you're saying something that apparently is popping the automatic moderator stuff. So you just avoid swear words and things of that nature or anything that can even come close. Because I myself have had stuff deleted. It's the automatic stuff. And yes, Ms. T, I'm seeing most of what you're posting, but not all of it. So anyway, it's an automatic system that Rumble has in place. I have no control over that. All right. So, no, I don't think it's all swear words, but some swear words and that kind of stuff. So anyway, all right, let's move on. So in terms of Democrats being behind something, well, they're against voter ID, but apparently some Democrats, they actually agree with having ID. So it turns out that Democrats, in particular, Obama's library, apparently supports requiring ID. Yeah. So apparently Barack Obama's presidential library has horrendous, Star Wars looking thing. Anyway, apparently the presidential library is making people show ID and for reason being for proof of Illinois residency in order to get in for free. That's right. Illinois residents who go to visit the Obama Presidential Library Yeah, they show an ID, they prove that they are an Illinois resident, and they can get into the library for free. See, folks, I just, this is so ridiculous. Oh, these people are so off. They're awful. They're awful. They're so off. Oh, yeah, anyway. All right. It's, you know, why? It's just, there's no reasoning with these people. There really is no reasoning with these people because there's no way. I mean, come on. Seriously, you're going to make an Illinois resident pull out an ID to prove they're an Illinois resident. Why can't you do that for a United States citizen who is attempting to vote? I mean, all the Illinois resident is doing is just getting it away or getting away from, basically getting away from having to pay $30. Yeah, I think voting is much more important. Anyway. Well, let's shift from Illinois to California. Yeah. Apparently, there's a new scandal with Eric Swallowswell. And no, I'm not talking about Fang Fang. I'm not talking about him dropping some pooter bombs on television. I'm not talking about the fact that he's only lifting like 135 pounds in the gym, thinking that that's making him a manly man. Apparently, according to this article in the Washington Free Beacon, Eric Swalwell will soon face sexual harassment allegations from former staffers. Now, this isn't, folks, this isn't like coming from a right-wing article or person. This isn't coming from a right-wing person saying this. This is actually the head of a liberal advocacy group called Gen Z for Change. She is a left-wing activist. Her name is Cheyenne Hunt. And she has said and announced publicly that she is personally working with credible women who have privately detailed a pattern of a manipulation of abuse and power by Eric Swalwell. So there is a apparently there is a bunch of women who, and she posted an original video to Instagram back in, what is it, March, I think. Anyway, she's been posting a series of social media posts, and her original video was posted to Instagram in late March and showed a text from a woman who wrote, quote, "You know, Eric Swalwell has slept with many of his interns and makes them all sign non-disclosure agreements." Wait a minute. I thought non-disclosure agreements in the case of politicians are like illegal because they probably got paid out of their campaign fund or whatever. Isn't that what happened with Donald Trump? But anyway, so they don't speak up. And then this person claims that when she was 19, Swalwell tried hitting on her, sliding into her DMs, which for those of you that are, older than dirt like I am, sliding into a DM means you're going into their direct messenger, trying to get them to talk directly to you. Anyway, probably means something a little bit more than that, but whatever. And she continues and says, "Hey, I have so many other friends that have also had similar experiences with them." And according to Cheyenne Hunt, she's saying, well, this is not an anomaly, but this is actually part of a pattern. Now, she followed up in a video posted this past Sunday titled "Why I Came Forward About Eric Swalwell." And she says that she's personally working with a group of women who want to come forward and share their stories. She's also aware of a much larger group that is also in the same process. That there are a shocking number of credible women who came forward after Hunt posted the first video, she added. I got a question with regards to the Democrats, especially Eric Swalwell. Wasn't he up on the whole Me Too movement? Wasn't he on and on board of the bandwagon with the whole Me Too kind of thing? Yeah. One can only hope that this will put a pin in his political career. Just because that guy is a complete idiot. Anyway. So, by the way, Swalwell, just in the final moments here, Swalwell has landed endorsements from prominent Democrats like, none other than Adam Schiff and Ruben Gallego, and prominent labor unions like Service Employees International Union California. Emerson College poll published in March found Swalwell is leading the open primary with 17% of the vote. Yeah, it was just one. But anyway. All right. Whatever. Now, Hunt did acknowledge in her video on Sunday that the allegations will have an impact on the California governor's race. So, yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. But this is something new. This isn't the old stuff. This is something new. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. Anyway, that's it for me for this evening. Do me a favor. If you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com. Get yourself an account. It is free. And once you are signed up and signed in, make sure that you search up the American Perspective channel and then hit that green follow button to get notified every time that I go live. Also, too, don't forget to give me those thumbs up, thumbs downs, or in the case of 3 Chevy, a thumb sideways across all of my platforms. Whether it's X, YouTube, Facebook, or, of course, the aforementioned Rumble. We will see you tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time for Whiskey Wednesday. And by the way, if you have a pet of the week, send it in, because I don't have it. I don't have one, I don't believe, for next. Anyway, see you tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here. Have a great rest of your evening, and good night, everybody.